Hi, this is Joe Dolce, and I'm going to show you today how to make Indonesian Sop Buntut oxtail soup with edible flowers. If you don't get that recipe, don't worry, I'll put it at the end. Again, first thing I do is I bring the oxtails in water to a boil, and then reduce it to a simmer for about 3.5 hours. Keep an eye on it after about 3 hours. You want them very tender, not completely off the bone, but very tender. Take them out and put them in a bowl and cover them and put them in the fridge, and then strain your stock and put that in a separate container like a mason jar and put that in the fridge. And you want to leave them overnight. And then in the morning, we take out the stock. You get this layer of fat that's risen to the surface and solidified. Just lift that off and set that aside. That lard is really good for making pie crusts. You can freeze that as well. Later in the week I'll make an oxtail pie perhaps. So now what I do is spoon out the jellied stock, which, as you can see by this texture, that it's turned into quite a strong bone broth. And this is precisely what I want. What I do is put it into a pot and put it on the stove on low heat just to bring it back to its liquid state. And while that's happening, I'll be preparing the next layer of ingredients. First thing I'm going to do is take out the oxtails. As you'll notice, they're probably stuck together being in the fridge, but just pull them apart and put as many as you want into the broth. I'm only making for 2 today, so I'm going to use 4, and I'll save the rest to pull the meat off later and use for oxtail pie. First thing we're going to do is prepare the wet spice mixture. So chop up some garlic, not too finely, just rough enough. We're going to be putting it in mortar and a pestle. And then some ginger, and then some onion, and then some scallions. Some people use a food processor to do this rather than the mortar and pestle. But when I was in Bali, I took a cooking class from a local woman in Ubud, and she used these old-fashioned Indonesian mortar and pestles. So I kind of fell in love with doing it the hard way. But I'll warn you in advance, you will cry. Pounding up onions and scallions are very strong. But get a nice paste that way. You can add a bit of salt to help the grind if you want, but I get enough salt coming from my tears, I think, to do the job. You just pound it up a bit, and then about halfway, and then you work your way over to the dry spices. So the first thing I do is grate up some nutmeg. And then I'm going to add 4 or 5 cloves to that, and break up a little piece of cinnamon. People put that into the stock directly, but I prefer to put it into the mortar and pestle and pound it up into the paste, so we get this incredible fragrant paste, which we will saute in a minute. Once it's pretty much blended, take a spoon and spoon it out into a small bowl. I'll put a pan on the heat and a couple tablespoons of oil in it. Let the oil get nice and hot. And then pour your spice mixture into the oil and stir it around evenly. Keep an eye on it because you don't want it to burn, and you know there's garlic in it, so you just want to get a slight brown crust. Now what we're going to do is add this spice mix to the stock pot. Forgive the shaky camera work. I've got my iPhone in my left hand. I'm cooking with my right hand, so I'm a one-handed chef here. Just stir that in. Now I'll go over and we'll chop up our carrots, bite-sized pieces. And then we'll do the same thing with the potato. Add these chopped vegetables to your pot. And let it simmer on the stove there for about 20 minutes. We want the potatoes to be soft. That's how we know they're ready. So now I'm preparing the garnishes. The first garnish is going to be using kipkapmanis and a bit of bird's eye chili. Slice the chili up and add it to the sweet soy sauce and put that on the table. Now I got three more garnishes here, which I'm going to use cherry tomatoes cut into thirds. And then some green scallions, which both the green and the white bits, just slice those up really finely. And the last one will be some nice tender celery from the center of the stalk. So once again, dice these pretty finely. Put all three of these on the table. A little bit of coriander there, which we'll use for the soup. Now add your salt and some sugar and some black or white pepper. Stir that in and check for the seasoning. Now the soup's almost ready to serve, so I've got some white rice here that I've steamed. I'll put those in the bowls. And these are separate bowls from the soup bowls, by the way. And then sprinkle some ground peanuts over the top. You can also use toasted sesame seeds if you want. Put those on the table, and now we're ready to plate the soup. So in each bowl we put 1 or 2 oxtails. See how they're still holding this shape, even though they've been cooking for hours? That's exactly what we want. And then you spoon the vegetables and the stock over the top. And just sprinkle a little bit of fresh coriander over. I'll take these out to the table. It's already looking good, but we're going to bring it up a level by putting in all our little garnishes here. Each garnish adds flavor and also color. And the final touch, some edible flowers. And a nice squeeze of lime juice. And then drizzle a little bit of the kecap manis over the top. Yummy! So much flavor. One of my favorite soups. I'll post the recipe here now. Once you get your mise en place together, all your ingredients in your little bowls, it's very easy to make, very organized. So hope you enjoy it, and thanks for watching.